Hello, good morning. I'm going to make a presentation talking about Criterion DD Web, and the focus it's from a financial institution where you will find that we have all this information coming from the financial services, and we are going to work for the marketing department. So you need to imagine now that you are working in a bank, and all the data that we have loaded inside Criterion DD Web are these different tables: prospects, customers, accounts, credit card transactions, campaigns, responses, contact histories, and the postcodes that has been downloaded from internet, from the postcode authority. The relations between tables, as you can see, are, let's say, typical ones, but we are going to be very focused on these three ones: the customers, the accounts, and the credit card transactions. But instead of talking about functionalities in our tool, I'm going to make, let's say, a total or a global solution, as let's say, responding to the needs of the marketing area. First, we want to try to identify cross-selling opportunities. Then we are going to try to find the most profitable customers that the bank already has. Then we are going to try to find the most profitable channel to reach this kind of customers. And finally, we are going to try to identify the characteristics of these customers, the most profitable ones, to be able to extrapolate it to the new opportunity we are going to find. This is something that we are going to make in the next 20 minutes, more or less. First of all, let me present to you the tool. In this case, I'm using Google Chrome, but it's my personal election. You can use whatever browser you want, like Mozilla, Firefox, Internet Explorer, whatever. As you can imagine, you have your own login and password, which is personal, and the Criterion is working in banks, health sector, police, banking, let's say sectors with very sensitive data. So you can imagine that it's a very safe and protected environment. So we are going in. This is the look and feel of the tool. Let me explain that there is three main parts in the product. The first is talking about the different databases. The second one is the Scratchpad, where we are going to work with the data. And the third one is, let's say, the different modules of the tool. In this case, you will see that I have three databases inside this place. Let me explore a little bit the database for you, only to make it sure that you can understand it very well. You can drag and drop it. And the first thing that you can see is that, okay, I'm working with 500,000 records of prospects, 1 million customers, 2 million products, the bank is calling products accounts, 46 million transactions of the credit cards, campaigns, responses, contact histories, and the postcodes that I said that were downloaded from internet. Let me explore a little bit more the database for you. For example, I'm going to drag and drop the whole customer table. And the first thing that you can see in a very easy way is, okay, talking about these links, that, as you remember, I was talking that the postcodes were downloaded from internet. So you can see also that only 95% of them are connected with the customer table. So it means that near 5% of the postcodes are missing or are incorrect. Or maybe talking about a financial institution, maybe you're finding fraud because, you know, maybe it's fake addresses. Of course, if you have the right permissions, you can see all the data regarding your customers. Of course, this is simulated, so it's not real data. But the structure is real. As you can see, for example, there is all the data there, and you can try to make, let's say, silly things like, okay, I want to sort the 1 million rows by one column, like, for example, the county. So you can do it only by clicking over the column. And it's really the 1 million rows sorted, not only the first page. Let me show to you that it's not only the first page, and it's everything. Okay, so let's go and see more information about our customers. Like, for example, let's say the occupation. So you drag and drop, and you can see very easily in a graphic the occupation of all your customers. This is not a predefined report. It's everything calculating on the fly. And more than that, because it's, let's say, interactive. If I click over manual workers, it goes directly to the Scratchpad to work with. So let me click over. So now we are seeing only the manual workers by drag and drop, and you can really validate it. But let's go again for for example, to see a discrete value, for example, the age. Want to see the age. I drag and drop in the middle of the screen, and what you can see is the distribution of the age of all our customers. Of course, there is two new folders, one talking about the statistics because we are talking about a number, and the frequency. Again, everything is calculated in the fly. It's not predefined report. So things that you can do, it's, okay, I want to see, for example, the frequency of the age for a group of customers, like, for example, the manual workers. You drag and drop in the middle of the screen, or retired people, or house persons. So in this very easy way, you can explore and you can drill down and so on. But let's say that it's not the focus of Criterion tool. This is only exploration, drilling down, so it's very easy things. But let's talk about the products of the bank, and then I'm going to start with the exercise. For example, as you can see, there is 6 typical products, let's say traditional products for a bank in this case. You will find that there is current accounts, saving accounts, investments, loans, credit cards, and mortgages, so nothing special, typical products. And probably you are thinking, okay, there is a lot of current accounts there, and there is very few credit cards in comparison. Let's say that it's very typical for a bank trying to offer you a credit card when you open a current account. So I want to understand if there is any real opportunity trying to offer credit cards to my current account holders. For that purpose, I'm going to use the Venn diagram, that is one of our specific techniques of analysis, by crossing information between the current accounts and the credit cards. As you can imagine, intersection is 0. Why? Because we are talking in terms of products. But let's see what happens if I want to know about my customers. I drag and drop them, and look, this is 620,000 customer has only current account, 60,000 has only credit cards, and 140,000 are both kind of products. So it seems that potentially I have the opportunity to sell more than 600,000 new credit cards. But they have more data because the marketing team is registering every single new customer that is coming to our bank if they has a previous credit card. And look, most of them responded yes. So let me cross this information to see what happened. Look, this is the people who has a current account with us. This is the people who has a credit card with us. And this is the people who responded, yes, I have a credit card from another bank. So look, this group of people is people who has a current account with us, but the credit card is with another bank. So it's the right people to try to, let's say, to get into our bank. So let me click over it, and you will find that the more than 500,000 people is there. Let me rename it. Let me call them credit card prospects, for example. Okay. So in less than 2 minutes, we were able to identify a cross-selling opportunity. The second thing that we are going to try to do is try to identify the most profitable customers that the bank already has. As far as I'm interested now in credit cards, I'm going to try to find the most profitable credit card holders. So first of all, I will try to find out this number inside the customer table. There is an actual profit, but nothing about credit card profit. So I need to build this number. So I know also that there is the transactions from the credit cards. If you remember the 46 million transactions, and there is a profit inside. But let's see how it's calculated. It's very easy because, as you can see, is the credit card net revenue less the administrative cost for every single transaction. So what I need to do is to build an aggregate summing every single profit of every single transaction of the 46 million transactions and group it in customer level. Why? Because probably a customer can have 1 or 2 or 3 credit cards, so I cannot aggregate it in product level. So let me rename it to credit card profit by customer. Now I'm calculating more than 46 million transactions. Okay, has been done. Let me show you the tool I'm using because I'm doing it over my laptop. My laptop, as you will see, is, let's say, a very nice laptop, but only a laptop. I'm doing the work of server, data repository, client, and web browser. So everything is working there. Coming again to the credit card profit by customer, I need to do a quantile to organize, let's say, better for analysis the data, like credit card profit by customer. Maybe 10 groups is okay to make a sample. Okay, I do it. Then I simply, by opening it, I can see that there is 800,000 people who has not credit cards, and the rest, the people who has credit cards, sorted from the less profitable ones to the most profitable ones. I'm going to select these two groups as the most profitable credit card holders. Let's rename it. Okay. So we have done the second part. Let's do the third step. Let's try to identify the most profitable channel to try to reach this kind of customers. Okay, this is very easy because I know that using a simple pivot table, I can find the solution. Because in the products, marketing team is registering every time a new account is open, the channel that was used to acquire the customer. So I drag and drop it, and you can see it graphically in a very easy way. So it seems that the bank is using DTB, internet, mailing, and some other means, but nothing relevant. And again, it's, let's say, nice information, but not very precise in this case, because what I want to know is about my credit cards. I'm not seeing about all the products. So I need to go only for credit cards. I select the credit cards, and I drag and drop in the middle of the screen, and everything is recalculated. It seems really that the mailing is the best way, but as far as probably I have not money enough to do such a big campaign, more than 500,000 people, I need to be more precise in my campaign. So I'm going to select only the most profitable credit card holders. So look, really, if we want to be very productive with our budget of marketing, we need to use the mailing. Okay, so we found the most profitable channel to reach the most profitable customers. The only thing that is left to us is trying to understand the characteristics of the most profitable credit card holders to be able to extrapolate to our prospects. Because as I said, there is more than 500,000, and probably I have not money enough to make such a big campaign. So what I'm going to do is to analyze the profile using the profiling tool. I take the most profitable credit card holders, and I'm going to study it with their characteristics, like for example, the age band. As you can see, this is based on Z-score mathematical and statistical method. I'm basically saying which thing is characteristic in a group and positive and negative. In this case means that being under 30 is very representative and positive in this group, and being between 45 to 75 is negative. Let's see, for example, if having children or not is important, or being homeowner or not, or the income band. Look, as a result, what we can say is that our most profitable credit card holder is young people under 30 years, is homeowner, probably they have a mortgage and they are using more the credit card than the others, and they have medium to low income bands, and they have children, 1, 3, 2, 4. The other side of the coin, the negative part, is saying that not having children is not defining this group, or being between 35 to 75 and more than 75k euros of incomes is not relevant, is negative. And the same with the age and living and renting. Okay, so we know now the characteristics. What we need to do is to extrapolate these characteristics to the prospects that we have. For that purpose, we are going to use one of our tools that it's called selections. Let me call it campaign selection. Okay, so we said that these people young, we said under 30, so I drag and drop the age, and I say one people under 30 years. We said also that these people with children, so value has to be different from 0. And then we said also that it's people who is homeowner, so homeowner, yes. And finally, that has income bands lower or equal to 35,000 euros. Of course, I want these people only from my prospects. I drag and drop the prospects in the middle of the screen, I make the calculation, and I have the selection. It's 10,000 people fitting with all these characteristics. As you can imagine, I can drag and drop, explore only this data, or export it in a very easy way in an Excel, if you like. For example, let me export some data like the address or the age or the county. So you export it in a couple of seconds. You have an Excel to work with, or to send your mail, or to link with your, let's say, your Word or whatever. Anyway, you can do more things than that with Criterion tools. For example, we can try to understand where the channels are and which ones of your customers is going to become churner or loyal. Let's make this sample in a very easy way. For example, let me clear that, and we're going to analyze the transactions of the last years of our customers. Let's make, for example, with a Venn diagram, I'm going to have the data from the last years, 2011 transactions, 2010, 2009, but in customers. I don't want the transactions. I want the customers that were doing these transactions during the last years. Oh, look, this is the people who were with us in 2011, people who were transacting with us in 2010 and 2009. So look, these people, they were transacting with us last 3 years. So I'm going to name it the loyals. And this group of people were transacting with us in 2009 and 2010, but not now. I don't know why. So I'm going to select them by clicking, and I'm going to name it the churners. Okay, so I'm going to use one of the advanced algorithms that Criterion has to analyze these people and to, let's say, analyze why they are loyals or why they are churners. So I'm going to mix them in one group, and I'm going to name this group loyals and churners altogether. Then I select this segment, and I'm going to classify them as loyals in green, and churners in red. I take the churners by drag and drop, and I'm going to analyze, depending on their characteristics, why they are churners or loyals. For example, depending on the profitability, depending on, for example, the income bands, or depending on the occupation. Let's train the model. Now the tool is calculating the probability of becoming loyal or churner depending on these characteristics. It will take, in my laptop, maybe 10 to 12 seconds doing all these, let's say, calculations with the 3.4.5 algorithm. And it will show you a very nice graph set with all the people who's going to become loyal or churner depending on, for example, the incomes and depending on the occupation that they have and the profitability. Of course, you can save this decision tree, let's say sample of churns, and you can use it for the nice thing that it's, okay, I want to know who is going to become loyal or churner due to this model that I have now. Well, it's very easy. You only need to apply it to a new group of people. I want to know about my customers that has credit cards, and I want to have a classification of them, but only if they become loyal or churners. Let me drag and drop, and let me find not the products but the customers. So I want to classify these customers. I want to predict if they are going to become loyals or churners. So what the tool is doing now is to applying all this classification model of the algorithm over this group of people, attending to the profitability, attending to the income band, and attending to the occupation, who is going to become loyal and who is going to become a churner. Meanwhile, you can still be using our tool and to say, for example, this Venn diagram, to use it in a dashboard. Let me say transactions. Saving it, and I can build a dashboard from the scratch using this, okay, The prediction has been created meanwhile. So we can see that there is two groups of people that I was asking for, this 200,000, as loyals, 167,000 people, and 42,000 people as churners. In a very easy way. We can make a quick analysis, for example, attending to the profitability of my customers, if I'm going to be affected by the churners or not. So I drag and drop it, and I want to cross information with the profitability. Okay, it's not nice. I will change the way of seeing the data. So okay, it seems that the churners are coming from the two less profitable groups. In this case, you don't need to be worried about the churners. It was, let's say, it's going to be different if they are coming from the big profitability groups. Coming again to the dashboard, I can use the transactions that I made before and the pivot table of the most profitable channel, for example, and I can move it if I don't like the place where I put it, or I can use a map. In this case, a map from the Straits with all our customers. And very important, talking about criterion dashboards, you never lose your interactivity. I mean, for example, if you open the cross-selling or the transactions group, and let me clear that to be very clear, if I click over that, I still can use the segment. You never lose your interactivity. Well, I think that was a very fast demo, but I think that was quite enough to make a little idea of what we are talking about. So I appreciate the time. Thank you very much, and let's talk next time.